Welcome back. Now, every once in a while, the brand and research agency Brand Finance puts out a report testing various attributes of brands, both locally and around the world. There's a new one out on the fastest growing brands in the world. And from the agency, Jeremy Sampson, welcome back to the program. It's always good to talk to you. What do we mean by a fastest growing brand?
Basically, Jeremy, as you know, one looks at brand valuation and brand reputation, and one wants to see if their trajectory is up or down. And we know a lot of brands are disappearing, but a lot of new brands and some of the older brands have got a new lease of life. And so this is the first time Brand Finance has done this. You know, it's the top 100 brands around the world, and it's fascinating to see the growth of some of them. If you look at the top 10, 8 are Chinese, and most of them we wouldn't know. Yes, we know WeChat, which is linked to Tencent, which ultimately is linked through to Naspers, of course, and we would know Huawei, but that's about it. And it's interesting how other brands are coming up, like Facebook, which is probably to be expected. But perhaps a big surprise is Porsche motor vehicles. That's one of the fastest growing by value. One of the reasons is, of all luxury car brands, it was the first to start producing SUVs. And as we know, many wealthy ladies in South Africa love to drive a Porsche SUV.
Not just wealthy ladies, Mr. Sampson. I think lots of wealthy people, and lots of people would like to drive one of those as well. But let's hone in on Porsche. There's lots of other stuff that you've raised. The report also makes the point that the reason for Porsche's success is that it hasn't shied away from innovation. That tells me that for any organization, or any brand to succeed, they have to keep innovating, even if it means expense, R&D expense, but also failure possibly along the way.
You're absolutely right. And to give an example, just to step back from Porsche a minute, 3 days ago, Larry Page, who was one of the founders of Google, stepped down. Larry Page and Google have only been going 21 years, that's all, and now it permeates our lives all the time. Larry Page was the guy who turned around a few years ago and said, most companies fail because they can't see the future. So to your point, you have to look what's coming down the line. We know any automotive vehicle today has to have an electric vehicle about to come out, if not out already. That's the reason Tesla has stolen a march on so many people. It was the first to market.
Let's get this one out the way if we can. On that entire ranking, does anything from this neck of the woods feature?
No, but the link is to the #1 brand, WeChat. You know, everyone knows how Naspers has done so well. Yes, it's taken its listing to Amsterdam, but WeChat is a product of Tencent, and that's very important, where people are creating a brand, but then what's the next big thing? How are they going to develop them?
Can a brand grow too fast to its own detriment, I wonder?
If it can't deliver on its promise, yes. But for the most part, you want to create demand and you want to create ongoing. No, there was that brand in the States, WeWorks, which has got into terrible trouble and has virtually disappeared. There's lots of controversy about Uber, especially now that they've been banned again in the UK. But for the most part, a brand, as long as it's rock solid and supported, is going to keep that momentum going. After all, I come back to Google, only 21 years. Facebook, I'm guessing, is about 17 years. That's all.
Are there brands that have completely disappeared from the firmament?
I think if we scratch our heads, yes. I can think of Kodak off the top of my head, but brands come, never really make it, and then disappear. We know of all new launches, something like 90% will disappear in the first 5 years. We've got a lot of new things in South Africa at the moment. You know, when you look at banking, you've got Time, you've got Zero, you've got Discovery. When you look at the other things going on, there's a lot happening here. We have Rain on the... Rain is also competing with Vodacom and MTN, which is interesting.
Why would the banking sector in its entirety dominate that rankings list?
I think because people realize that banking is crucial to our lives, but also what's happening technically in the world is changing things, and the banks have to adapt. So even though a bank has been around 100 years, it's got to adapt to the new technology and react to the new competition. Let's face it, if we were looking at the fastest growing brand in South Africa, it might well be something like Capitec, which has only been around 19 or so years. But that is using the latest technology, and it's tapped into the demands of the population of South Africa.
It's tapping into the demands. It's also brands in that sector are not afraid to innovate because they have no choice.
They have no choice. Some are faster than others. I think FNB, when Michael Jordan especially there, but they've carried on, has been very, very strong, and you've got a very competitive set. Now, when you have a competitive set, they're all after each other's lunch, aren't they? So Standard, ABSA, Nedbank with FNB are fighting it out, and that's good because that improves the offer and hopefully the price for the consumer. But despite all that, Capitec has come in and taken a lot of their, some would say, their dinner away.
It's also useful to see that some bricks and mortar brands, particularly in the retail sector, are still there, but it's also because they have a tech component attached to themselves.
Again, you're quite right. It's adopting the tech side and bolting it on. But what this has meant is a lot of the bricks and mortar brands of the past have reduced their size dramatically, so that often people want to go in and touch and feel something, or they'll go online, but then ultimately they'll still want to go into a physical place. But that's one of the reasons there's more and more space in the shopping centres. Those bigger stores are either going out of business if they don't change quickly enough, or they're still downsizing. After all, the cost of rentals in a Sandton City or whatever is huge.
And there's some very notable brands in South Africa that are going through that pain right now. I want to come back to China very quickly. WeChat, as you say, tops the ranking. The notes attached to the survey also say that it's a brand that has entrenched itself in society. How does a brand do that?
Basically, this is within China and within the Asian market, and this is where again they saw the needs, especially of younger people, pre-millennials, whatever one calls those 14, 15, 16-year-olds and upwards. They wanted that ability to talk. I think in South Africa we use things like WhatsApp a lot as well. After all, it costs no money, we're told, but it's so convenient and so easy. That's only been around a couple of years as well. So you've got to tap into your local culture, and that's where the Chinese is an emerging market, and also more and more money is available for everyone.
All right, so we've looked at China, we've looked at Porsche, we've looked at banking. The second most valuable sector in the ranking, and this is the last question to you, is media.
Changing again. Disney has been the most valuable media brand for a long time within the brand finance tables, but along comes Netflix and a lot of other people, and they're changing the market, they're changing the way we do business, and it's enhanced by technology. And that's where if you snooze you lose. It's an old saying, but you've got to stay relevant, and you've got to keep moving and adopting the latest technology, whatever sector you're in, especially media.
All right, Jeremy Sampson from Brand Finance, as always, thank you for disclosing the latest survey that you've got. Jeremy Mag's Saturday, welcome to it, and we're going to break the story right now.